If you do sales for a living like I do, cold calling is like oxygen. It's necessary for survival, and if you are watching this video right now, you are a hunter. Even if your company gives you leads, even if you have the best marketing team in the world, even if you have no resources and you're calling gatekeepers all day because you can't afford direct phone numbers, you are still picking up the phone every day because you eat what you kill and you have something to prove to yourself every single day. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about how making 100 cold calls a day for the first 2 years of my sales career allowed me to promote and make more money much faster than everyone around me. But more importantly, I'll be sharing with you and leaving you with my 3-step blueprint for how to actually make the 100 cold calls a day. And what I say on the phones, because I have a feeling all of you can put it to use today to set more meetings. Let me take you back 5 years ago when I started my sales career. I started at a top software company as a sales development rep. I had no sales experience, never had an internship, no mentors, no one guiding me. So believe it or not, I was not very good. I was the lowest performing rep that first month. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. It was frustrating. And I also thought to myself, is sales really for me? Should I go to a different role, like in marketing, customer success, a lot less pressure, but a lot less money? Fortunately, I decided to stick with it. And I decided, hey, I don't have the natural talent or ability like it seems like everyone else does around me. I just have to outwork everyone. If they expect me to make 80 calls a day, I'll make 100 calls a day. If they expect me to show up at 8 a.m., I'll show up at 7 a.m. If they expect me to set 5 meetings a week, I'm gonna set 10 meetings a week. And that decision to simply outwork everyone around me, to obsess over the process and emotionally detach from the results, that's what it's all about. So every day I was looking at that dashboard in our CRM, hey, I don't care how many meetings I set, I care about making more calls than every single person around me. I did that for 2 years. I made over 60,000 cold calls. And then all of a sudden I promoted from an SDR to an account executive. I looked up, my on-target earning was 200K plus, and I was making more money than I knew what to do with. But more importantly, I built a foundation of work ethic and deciding to do whatever it takes to be successful. So if you're in that position of, hey, I really want to be successful, you got to make the 100 cold calls a day to get started. And even if you are in a role where you're not actually focused on as much pipeline generation activity, I encourage you to go find it. Go do more pipeline in addition to what you're being given, because it will take your sales game and more importantly, your income, your recognition, your status, your ability to go on cooler vacations to the next level. So now you're thinking, okay, Trent, I'm sold. I want to make 100 cold calls a day. So the 3 steps to do that is very simple to do, very simple not to do. Step number 1 is to add new, fresh prospects to your sequence, your call list, whatever you call it, each and every day. Step number 2, actually execute upon those activities by sending your emails, by making your calls. And then number 3, stay disciplined and committed to only focusing on revenue producing activities. Beginning with step number 1, I spoke with an enterprise rep at my company. He was the sales manager for some of the biggest deals ever sold, a sneaker company that I'm sure you got a pair of, and a big retail company that happens to have a market cap over $1 trillion. And he told me, he tells every one of his reps to find 5 new prospects a day. And these are the top enterprise reps at a top public software company. So if they can do it, you most certainly can do it. So when you think about adding prospects to your sequence or go finding folks to find, you got to start with a territory plan. So what types of companies do you have the most success selling into? This is called your ICP, ideal customer profile. We have the most success selling to banks, B2B. We have the most success calling to 40-year-old males that, let's say, have 5 years of career experience so we can sell them our vacation packages, whatever it may be. Identify your ideal customer profile. And if you're doing B2B sales, like what I'm primarily talking about here today, you need to identify your buyer persona within these accounts. What is the specific title that most benefits from my solution? Is it human resources? Is it finance? Is it operations? Is it sales and marketing? Whatever it may be, understand your buyer persona and the challenges they face so that you can then use free tools like Apollo.io. You can use paid tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can use Zoom Info, and you can go into these companies and you can start to figure out, okay, let me get my 50 top companies I want to sell into. Who is the one contact I want to speak with the most at this company? Let me go find that prospect. Okay, all of a sudden I have a list of 50 prospects at the 50 hottest companies I want to get into, and you're repeating. Let's say, okay, let me add 5 more companies to this list. Let me go find 5 more buyer personas. Hey, you know what? I could go find 10 people from one account. So you want to be adding prospects from big whale accounts and you want to be adding lower level warm prospects that are easier to go bottoms up to just get in the account, and then eventually you can work your way up the chain. But it's for you to decide where you need to find those prospects. The most important thing is finding enough prospects each and every day so that you can actually make the amount of calls you need to make. Think about chopping wood. If you do not chop enough logs for the winter, you are going to run out of wood, and especially live in a cold area, you are going to freeze to death. And in sales, if you're not constantly adding new prospects to your sequence, your pipeline is going to dry up and you will never hit your quota, and you will be very, very sad. Step number 2 is actually doing the outbound activity. A few points I want to make. First and foremost, when it comes to a sequence or cadence, basically the amount of touch points, contact moments that you will have with your prospect over a predefined number of days. My rule of thumb was over 25, 30 days, basically think of it as a month, I am going to contact this prospect between 15 to 20 times. It's gonna be a variety of emails, it's gonna be a variety of cold calls, leaving voice messages. I might go connect with them on LinkedIn. Bottom line, I'm always gonna be contacting them so I can continuously progress and call more and more times. It's gonna take you over 9 calls on average to even get their attention, let alone then tell you no, and then you gotta remove them from your sequence and then go find a new prospect to call. And when you are calling, assume they already have something in place. My messaging goes something like this. Look, hey, this is Trent from XYZ company. I'm not looking to change anything you're doing today. I'm sure it's working really well. I just want to see if we can help you. That's all it is. You are calling to serve them. You are not calling to change anything. You're not calling to upset them. It's actually selfish for you to not want to call them if you truly believe you can help. So they need to know who you are first and foremost. They need to know about your solution. And then when you get to that point and you get some alignment, hey, you're under contract for the next 9 months. That's okay. I'd like to set up a meeting with you to talk about your renewal 4 months ahead of time, just so you're aware of what else is out there in the marketplace so you can make the best decision for your business. We're not looking to change anything. I just want to introduce myself. That is the fundamental point when it comes to cold outreach. You are not there to disrupt them. You are there to serve them. And the only way you can do that successfully is by getting in the door. They need to know you, and you need to progress things forward. So if your objective is to set an initial meeting like mine is, call them and you got to set the meeting. You want to set the meeting within 48 hours of that call, but if you got to set it in advance in the future, that's okay. Just make sure they accept it and continue to follow up with that prospect. The third and final step is to stay focused and disciplined and consistent on revenue producing activities. Reps always come to me and they say, Trent, I'm so bogged down by internal meetings. How do you structure your day? What does your calendar look like? I'm here to tell you, if you don't add prospects to sequence, if you don't make your calls, then you're not gonna generate any pipeline. My philosophy as a rep was revolved around pipeline generation, pipeline health, and self-development. If I was not actively generating pipeline, finding prospects, calling prospects like we talked about in step number 1, step number 2, I was then focused on working my deals, managing my pipeline as an account executive in a closing role. If I was not working deals, I was doing self-development. I was focused on my development, my growth as a rep, watching videos like this one. And if I wasn't doing one of those 3 activities, I was then trying to help someone else. So when you think about structuring your day, only focus on revenue producing activities. If you get added to a meeting that's non-revenue producing, then don't go to it. Tell everyone around you if they're wasting your time with all these stupid Slack meetings, all these internal meetings, whatever, town halls. I'm focused on doing my job, on generating pipeline, trying to get revenue for this organization. And I'm gonna focus all of my time on that. And if you think about looking at cold calling specifically, it can be demoralizing when you make 100 cold calls a day, you don't set any meetings, and then having to show up the next day and do it all over again. The law of large numbers, it will take care of itself, because if you make 1,000 cold calls a day and you start to look at your answer rate, your set rate, show rate, conversion rate, all of a sudden, some days, those metrics can be 0%, but on the next day, you can have a 50% set rate on 10 live conversations. All of a sudden, you're setting 5 meetings that day on 75 cold calls. That won't happen to you if you don't stay consistent. There are 5 business days in a week, 2 ideal cold calling blocks a day, morning, afternoon, 2 times 5, 10. So if you do not cold call Monday morning because you're hungover from Saturday, you don't feel like it. If you don't cold call Friday afternoon, oh, prospects at happy hour already. That is 2 calling blocks you miss out on. That's 20% of your total output capacity. You may be able to make up for it for lunch, but if you just show up in the morning, the afternoon, make your 40, 50 calls by noon, and then finish off whatever it takes in the evening, even if you gotta stay past 5, that is how you make legitimately 100 cold calls a day, so long as you're adding fresh prospects, you're actually contacting them, and then you're holding yourself disciplined to revenue producing activities and actually doing the work day in, day out. I promise you, if you follow those steps, you will promote faster like I did, 6 promotions at the top software company. And I also increased my income significantly. And I want to see you do the same. If you found value in today's video, I linked my cold calling scripts and systems at the first link below. I think you'll really enjoy that. Make sure to hit the like button now, subscribe to the channel now with the bell on so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. And I will talk to you in the next video.